Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. We'll get started in less than 5 minutes. And we just want to say hi to our virtual audience. We do have people that are signed in and tuned in online, so we are awesome. So, hello to everyone that's online and in person. So, give us about 3 minutes and we'll get started.
Do you have any more of those pamphlets? Yes. You want one? I don't need it. Now I think about it, I brought my own. Dylan.
All right, so good morning again. Everyone can hear me? Okay. Do I need to speak up? I'm good. All right. I just wanted to make sure y'all heard me. Okay. A little louder? I got you. Okay. I'm a social worker, so I know how to speak loudly. Okay. All right. So I want to say good morning and welcome, welcome, welcome to our Social Work Month celebration. I am happy to be your moderator this morning. I am a proud graduate of the class of 2018 at Morgan State University's MSW program, and I'm happy to be here. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. So, as you all know, March is Social Work Month, but it's also Women's History Month. So, we got to do a bang-up introduction to get y'all riled up. All right, so amidst the myriad of challenges that are facing our communities, there exists a beacon of hope, compassion, and resilience. As we gather here today, we come together to honor and celebrate the remarkable contributions of dedicated professionals who tirelessly advocate for the well-being of individuals, families, and societies as a whole. Social workers. Throughout history, social workers have been at the forefront of promoting social justice, equality, and empowerment. They are compassionate listeners, tireless advocates, and unwavering pillars of support for those in need. In times of crisis and adversity, it is social workers who stand ready to extend a helping hand, offering guidance, resources, and solace to those who are struggling. During this special month, dedicated to recognizing our invaluable efforts, let us take a moment and appreciation for the profound impact that social workers have on the lives of countless individuals, from child welfare to mental health, from community development to elder care. Our dedication knows no bounds as we work tirelessly to uplift and empower those in need. As we embark on this journey of celebration and appreciation, let us not only honor the achievements of our social workers, but also reaffirm our commitment to supporting and uplifting them together. Let us strive to create a world where an emphasis on every individual is afforded dignity, respect, and the opportunity to thrive. Thank you for joining us as we come together to celebrate Social Work Month and incredible individuals who embody the spirit of compassion, advocacy, and services. So, without further ado, let the activities begin. We are going to start off with a song by Miss Brenda D. Tucker. She is a soloist from the Community Concert Choir of Baltimore.
Good morning. It's a privilege to be here and to be invited to be amongst you. I am a former counselor, but more importantly, I am a graduate twice from Morgan State University. Thank you. Are you ready? Let us stand. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our star is cast. This is my favorite verse. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on our way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. You did a wonderful job. And I want to say that ending, that last ending, was, and it's being used, it's being sung by all of the concert choirs in the black colleges and universities. It was written for Hampton Institute, and it's taken off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Brenda Tucker. That was amazing. I know we just clapped, but why not clap one more time? Okay. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you. So what we are going to do now, after that wonderful song, we're going to introduce our esteemed guests that we have on the stage today. We're going to get to know them a little bit better. So we have here with us Dr. Ruth Sheffy. And we do want to acknowledge Dr. Sheffy's late husband, Mr. Vernon Sheffy, and her daughter, Ilona Sheffy Rawlings. Yes. Y'all hands gonna get a workout today, so let's, okay. I don't know if we can, like get that on our watch and count that, but yeah. We can work on that. And then another esteemed guest that we have here is Dr. Mary Page. Dr. Page. And we also want to acknowledge her daughter, Mrs. Angela Tyler. So everyone should have a program, but I will do a brief bio. I'm not going to read the entire bio, but if you can follow along, that would be great. And I do want to start off with Dr. Sheffy. So Dr. Ruthie Sheffy, a distinguished scholar in literature and one of the longest-serving faculty members at the Morgan State University, is not a social worker by profession, yet her generosity towards social work students and her partnership with her late husband, Vernon Sheffy, a renowned social worker, exemplify the spirit of social work. We pay homage to Dr. Sheffy during during Women's History Month and National Social Work Month, because her dedication to education and the mark that she has left on countless lives through her spirit of giving and working with her husband to create the Lafayette Square Multi-Service Center. I think it's a great segue to talk a little bit about her late husband, Dr. Vernon Sheffy, who was a native of Baltimore, always proud to call Riggs Avenue in the Sandtown, Winchester area home, graduated with a degree in sociology from the Morgan State University in 1949. Well, actually, in 1949, it was Morgan State College. He received his Master of Social Work degree from Howard University in 1960. One of his greatest achievements came in 1965 when he was named director of the Lafayette Square Multi-Service Center, the place of value of which he had dreamed. The 30,000 square foot brick building opened in 1973 and included services such as a well baby clinic, a branch of the Enoch Pratt Free Library, counseling, a daycare center, activities for senior citizens, and many more services that others took for granted. So thank you so much. Thank you. And then yes. Come on. And then just a little bit about Dr. Mary Page, a Baltimore City native and graduate from the Morgan State University. Oh, I'm so used to saying that. In 1947, it was Morgan State College, but it was still the Morgan State College, okay? She received her MSW from Howard University in 1949 and retired as a professor. Wait a minute, let me get it back. Yes, a PhD, from the University of Pittsburgh School of Social Work, where she retired as a professor. As a trailblazer in social work, she forged a remarkable career at the intersection of social change and community empowerment. Dr. Page has been profound. Her impact has been profound. Her dedication to refining social work education and her therapeutic interventions have touched the lives of countless individuals over 4 decades. So, I'm glad. Okay. All right. Her accomplishments are many. So as I said, you can read her full bio in our program. We really want to start to ask some questions of our esteemed panelists and get to know them a little bit better. So let me introduce our interviewers. We have our BSW student, Dylan Liley. Yay. We have the Anna McFadder, Dr. Anna McFadder, professor and founding dean of Morgan's School of Social Work. And we have Dr. Lawrence Van Slytman, professor and assistant to the dean, School of Social Work. All right, Dean McFadder, you want to start off with our first? Oh, we're going to pass them. Or
Well, I have a loud voice, so good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm so thrilled to see all of you this morning and so happy for this occasion.
it's an occasion that we simply could not let pass by us. We believe, to our knowledge, that Dr. Ruth Sheffy and Dr. Mary Page are the oldest alumna of Morgan State College. Did I get that right? Right. And to have these, and they also attended high school, Douglas High School together. And they came to Morgan together. And so we thought it certainly befitting doing Social Work Month and doing Women's History Month, because as we know, the majority of people who do social work are what? Women. And so we do want to take time to honor and celebrate both these outstanding pioneers in our field, as well as all of the women in the room and all of the men who support them. So thank you all for being here, and thanks to all of our guests who are tuning in to us virtually. I want to say something about Dr. Sheffy. Dr. Sheffy is a person who reached out to me very early when I came to Morgan in 1995, and has been a dear, dear mentor and friend. And I think she really got that because, as you all know, people who love and hang out with social workers really kind of become social workers, and they pull people in like that. And so I think that she became a social work partner with Vernon during all of those years. As a matter of fact, I thought of this, Dr. Sheffy, recently. You served on the committee that promoted me to full professor. Do you remember that? Okay, and so that's why she is. Okay, as well. And so I'm so excited because I really sort of keep up with both of these women as dear friends and mentors. And so thank you, Dr. Sheffy.
Thank you for what you've done.
Well, I appreciate that.
She's amazing.
Well, thank you for saying that. And Dr. Page was on the search committee that brought me to the University of Pittsburgh. And she was, and so she became a dear friend and mentor. And after 2 years, she retired, and I was mad. But I kept up with her, so I wouldn't let her go. And so I'm thrilled that she is now relocated to her home in Baltimore with her daughter and her grandson, who looks just like a Morgan student. So stand up. Her grandson. That wasn't a real stand up, all the way up. There you go. Okay. What I know about him is he's a wonderful musician, because your grandmother brags on you all the time. And so it really is very, very, wonderful to be able to honor these women at these special times and to hear from them, to learn from them, because we all recognize if we forget our history, what happens? Not good things. So we always want to learn from that. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started with asking my first question. And Dr. Sheffy has warned me about 5 times that this isn't about her, it's about Vernon. But this question that I'm getting ready to ask you, Dr. Sheffy, is about you. So the question is, or share with us, what was Morgan like during your time here from 1943 to 1947? And I'll start with you.
Well, thanks, Dr. McFadden. She knows how I admire her. We had 1 course or 2 courses around here, and because I was here, 41 years. But I looked, there was a whole school of social work, and this little lady was the cause of it. I said, you're miraculous. I admire Dr. McFadden so much. Now, what was it like? Well, we graduated together, the 2 of us, from Frederick Douglass High School here in Baltimore, Maryland. It's something that we're back here together again. The Douglass High School class of 43. And so we came straight to Morgan in that September, after that. And it was sort of a sad place for us because all the men were gone. It was World War II. And it was a campus filled with all ladies. But we got adjusted to it and enjoyed being at Morgan, and I got involved with the sorority and was a dancer, and so I.
Which sorority?
I didn't want to insult anybody on the stage to talk about the greatest sorority. There's only really one sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Oh, I thought you were going. I thought she was going to say Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. But we're all sisters. We're all
Directed
sisters.
the AKA Follies and all of that. But it was a campus of women. We were all women. But World War II then ended. Before we left, I think maybe 45, late 45, 46, the men came back to campus. Well, we were a little bit happier then. We had men on campus, and most of us got husbands from that returning group. I did, I for one, from the returning soldiers. But Morgan always had special teachers, dedicated professors, and people who were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I had Charlotte Crawford, who left Morgan and went to Howard, but she was chair of the English department, and she was just amazing. I was so thrilled and overcome. She let me grade her papers. I didn't know you were supposed to be paid to do that.
She didn't pay you?
No. I wouldn't have thought. I didn't even think I needed any money. Well, I needed it. I was riding the streetcar. I wasn't in the dormitory. I was riding the streetcar to get to classes. But I was just so overcome and thrilled that she thought enough of me to let me grade her papers. But it was a distinguished English department. And so I won't go on because this program must go on. But one thing you need to know, there were how many buildings on campus? Two or three? The library and one dormitory, Tubman, and a classroom. 3 buildings on campus when we got here in 19. So you know how I feel, because this is home for me. Yeah. You're family, this is home. When Mr. Bell, the president's driver, he sends him for me, brought me down that long, and I said, this is Morgan too? This is Morgan? All these buildings of Morgan? I'm just amazed and thrilled and overcome. It's grown so much. It's grown so much. I'll stop because I want to.
Thank
Okay,
you so
Dr.
much.
Page?
Thank you.
What was it like for you in 1943 when you came to Morgan?
Well, actually, I am a Baltimorean, but the problem that I have today is coming back and trying to find my way. I would be lost. I'm completely lost. My daughter drove me here this morning and was showing me some of the buildings. Can you imagine my walking from, where was this, the street? York Road. Remember, I lived in town. I did not live on campus. So I came here almost every morning or 3 mornings a week and walked almost a mile, it seems, as I think back on it, to get to my classes. But once in the class, there was such a feeling that this is where we were. We belonged here, and we were proud, even of those 3 small buildings in comparison with what I see today. But it was a good feeling about Morgan. Morgan was home because anybody could come to Morgan. You didn't have to have a whole lot of money. You needed some, but there were groups that put together a little money to help people who were here to come to Morgan. So I have a good feeling about being here today. I'm not going to be rooting for any football teams. I'm not going to be rooting for any baseball teams. I'm glad there are not more younger people here because that's all they talk about today, is who's in charge of the baseball and football. They're not really talking about who needs help. Who are the people to carry on the traditions of the people who came from South to Baltimore to live and to make a home for families, families being the most important thing in the lives of Black people. When we think about what they went through, just to get here, to read the stories and to share these things, it was something about who we are and how we feel about our community. And that is what social worker came wanting to make a difference, to make it better, to make it really better for our children and families.
Mary, you know what? Can I say something? I'm just so thrilled you said that because that's why I feel like I'm something of an imposter. I do wish that Vernon was sitting here in this seat because that was his lifelong dream and wish to serve the community he grew up in. He grew up in a poor community in, I forget the name, they used to had a name for it, but Riggs Avenue, the upper
Yes.
part of that. That's where he grew up. And he was really angered when the police put up on the playground that they used to have, put a police station back there. So, but he wanted, his dream was to have services for the people in that community in which he grew up. And that's why I'm just sorry he's not here in this seat to tell you how that dream came true for him. So that right there on the corner of Lafayette and Gilmore, he managed to build. I wish we had a screen you could see that center and see him with the shovel and the man, all this, at the groundbreaking with a federal grant and a neighborhood drive for money, a new center right there in the community. He grew up around the corner on Riggs Avenue in the 1700 block, I believe.
Who helped him write that federal grant?
Well, anyway, but that was his dream, and I know that many of the students here, you have dreams like that too, or you wouldn't be social workers. You have a dream to serve, to give back to your community, and if you do that, your life will be well lived. And so, you know, his dream came true, because that Lafayette Square Center came up right on the corner of Lafayette and Gilmore from ground up. And it offered Eat Together for the elderly, a well baby clinic, a branch of Enoch Pratt Library so the students wouldn't have to go all the way downtown to, to the main place. All of those services, right there, well baby clinic, all of those services right there in this community. Now, I know the students here in this School of Social Work, I know you have similar dreams. You have, or you wouldn't be social workers. You have dreams of the way you want to serve and to help. And that's why we're all here. That's why we're on this planet, to serve.
Thank you.
And we will hear more from the two of you about your words of wisdom, but thank you for starting that. And I wanted to mention, the reason Dr. Page doesn't talk about football is because she's what's that Pittsburgh team? over there. And so we go back and forth when that game is on about that football team. The Steelers. Is that it, Dr.
That's
Page?
right, the
That's her
Steelers
team.
and
And so
the
that's why she don't
Oreos.
talk about it, because she might get mad when the Ravens beat them. But anyway, let me just ask you, because we got a little time thing here. What's your favorite memory about Morgan? You've said a lot of things about things that you loved about Morgan. Can you think of a favorite memory?
Oh, man, that's a really tough one,
Oh, okay.
because I think to have a favorite, you have to draw on something that's been important to you in your own life. And I want to speak to the people of Baltimore as I remember Baltimore. Remember, I've not lived here for a long time. But when I went to school at Douglas, the teachers were black. Maybe you use another word. In Pittsburgh, we just say black. Some people say people of color. But the teachers were unable to get positions of teaching at that time. And so they took on a different charge than teachers generally. Their charge was to prepare us for a different world, which would be an integrated world. And they spent a lot of time. I remember our English teacher and our music director put together our closing musical, in which it demonstrated what they had gone through to be where they were. Somehow, I think we've lost some of that in our today's world. We've made the charge. We've now work wherever almost we want to, and if we don't get there, we can maybe go into a court and fight it. But there was something deeper inside to rely on families, on neighbors, to help one another, not as just black people, but as people. And there was something underneath it that carried us to come to a place like Morgan and to watch it grow. To grow because of what they also were putting into the mix. So what do I remember about Morgan? I remember the people. This was a place where I met some wonderful people. Not just our classmates, but people from different places. I met teachers that were really struggling to keep that theme going. Who are we? What can we do for one another? And that's what I felt when I walked today, as I was walking into this place. I said, look at this place. Just look at it. Look at the people who have supported Morgan all of these years. It's a great, great feeling. So I would say my greatest thing was the teachers and the people that made Morgan what it is. And without that spirit, what do we have?
Well said, well said.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're heading up on that afternoon time, but I definitely wanted to, honor these alumni who are on our stage, as well as some who are sitting in our audience and on our stage. Ms. Mixon and Ms. Igor, I see you. Thank you very much for being here. I think there's some other people that I don't see or don't remember their last names, but I wanted to make sure that you're honored and understand that in, I don't know, a couple of years, you might be up here on this stage talking about what the School of Social Work looked like when you were here. So thank you very much for being here. Dr. Page, I'm going to ask you another question, a quick
Okay.
follow-up. Why social work? Why did you choose us?
Well, it goes back to, I guess, my family roots. My father was a minister, and he and my mom met when they were in school. And they came from Tennessee and Kentucky, and they were going to come up north. How many families came with the same kind of spirit? They were looking for freedom, opportunity. And it seems to me, what do you really want me to answer about that?
Take it wherever you want to take it, because I want to know, why did you choose social work as a profession?
Okay. So my family already is into family stuff and community development. So religion played a very significant part about it. Baltimore at that time had many leaders developing, like your husband, had people, other ministers. There was a group in the Methodist Church that met across the country. They had an excellent program as just for us, let us put it that way. But they thought that it was an opportunity to move from budding communities to cities, to towns, it was a movement of wanting to give plenty of opportunity to children and their families as they grew up. So I would say that the spirit of community development and the spirit of offering the best that could happen for yourself was important. To give yourself opportunities to develop all of the talents you had, to work with other people. And you should see, just going to the museums today to look at the history back in time, to go over to Washington, D.C. and to see what has happened in all of the cities from time up, and to see the struggles and the way of partnering if you didn't have to worry about if your life was in danger. If you could use your talents, if you could develop your talents, that's what brought them here, and that's what they passed on to family. It's a known fact. I didn't even have a question about where I would go to school. The only important thing was you were going to school, and you were going to be responsible to offer something back to the community from which you came. That was just a part of family dynamics. Have we lost it? Hopefully not. So that's what brought me here.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank you for how gently both of you are walking us through our history as social workers, from World War II through the Great Migration, through desegregation. You're doing such an amazingly gentle job of taking us through some of the most frightening times in our own history. I'd like to thank you for that. So, Dr. Sheffy, this is going to be my last question. Dr. Sheffy, your husband is creating a multi-service center in Baltimore City around mid to late 60s. The Panthers are also creating the school lunch programs at the same time. Tell me, what's going on in Baltimore when he's working like that?
Finally, the Morgan students were marching, you have pictures out here of some of them. They were going to Annapolis and marching, and because Reed's drugstore here, we were on campus, but they wouldn't serve us in there. And so you have pictures of them all gathering, going, marching on, and I excused them from my class. If you were with the marches, you didn't have to be in my classroom, because it was more important what you were doing, So, and one little girl, I must tell you that, they locked them all up one time, and they carried the girls, and when you go to jail, the first thing they do is wash your hair. Well, we don't want our curls washed out.
That hasn't changed.
Washed all the curls out and all that. And one little girl, she called up in upstate New York where her parents were, said she's in jail. Oh, they got in the car. So they called right and said, we come. So Dean Thelma Bando was the dean of women. She was the dean of women, Dean Thelma Bando. Can you hear me? Yeah. Was the dean of women. And she went down there, and she got her girls. She rounded up her girls, got her girls out of jail. So they told the parents, don't come. They're out of the parents, they were coming. They were coming anyhow. And they came on down, because they didn't send their child down here to go to jail, But our students were always activists. They were all, and you hear about, what is it? It's a North Carolina school. But many of our students were demonstrating before that happened, because they wouldn't let Reed's drugstore right here, right up there. You know where it was, and you couldn't sit on the counter and eat there. When I came to Morgan, and so the Morgan students demonstrated, went in and took up all the seats. But one little waitress didn't know that she wasn't supposed to serve them, because they weren't serving any of the Morgan people, any black people at that time. She didn't know, so she served one little boy. But he hadn't brought any money, so he couldn't pay for what he couldn't pay for what they brought him. But they were always activists. They made me the poet laureate for the sesquicentennial, and I put in there about the fact that, you know, what had happened doing to those students during those years and whatnot. But our students have always been activists. You hear about North Carolina, whatever the school, but our students were being activists, were marching, were doing all of that early on. They were always active in demanding what they want, because they weren't going to go have reads right here with a counter, you know, a Coca-Cola ice cream counter, and it wouldn't serve you. Morgan students right here. So the Morgan students just went in and took up all the seats. Took up all the seats. So my poem says that you always made yourself be heard.
All right, thank you. I do want to take a moment to honor a person who is also in this room, who was involved in those marches. Ms. Sandra Jackson, please stand up. Morgan alum who went to jail with the students during that time. Yes, she was there. Thank you. Okay. And so now we'll have our BSW student ask a few questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you all. It's nice to be here in the presence of very distinguished and honorable women. I really appreciate it. So I don't want to take too much of your time. My name is Dylan Liley. For those of you who missed that part, don't worry. I consider myself just a small part of something greater, so I don't want to waste any time. So, as we've gone over many times so far, the landscape of everything was different back when y'all were starting up. But particularly in the realm of social work, and I understand, Dr. Sheffy, that it's, you know, your involvement is a lot less direct in comparison with your husband, but I also still want to get your feedback on that. So if the both of you can answer as much as you can, what was the landscape of social work like back then?
Well, as you know, social work in terms of the curriculum didn't exist. We were a college. And in order to make it as a social worker and to make contributions, it had to come from some of the organizations here on campus. Some of the sororities were doing things very exciting to connect with the various communities. But fortunately, we had such exciting leaders to come on this campus and to accept the challenge of what Morgan could be. We were able to bring a baccalaureate degree in social work, which would give beginning steps for what could be done throughout the community in behalf of social work. I therefore had to go to Howard University, which was known as the place to go to get your master's degree. And that's exactly what happened. But social work itself was developing new ideas about how to be helpful to the community and the people and the various needs that were there. So I would say, yes, do you want to speak to that?
No, I think you're in a better position to talk about that than I. But I will say, Mary, that you were right. For the masters, five Baltimore people, my husband was one of them, left 3 times a week, drove over to Howard
That's right.
to get a master's in social work.
Mm-hmm.
They commuted to
right.
do that. They had to leave Baltimore and go to Howard to do that. So that partially answers your question. But you wanted to know something else. What else did you want to know about? I have the feeling your question hasn't been answered.
Really? I don't know. Thank you. I don't know. Just I guess more so Dr. Page can answer this one.
Yes.
In terms of the actual practice of social work, and it can be in any aspect. It can be some of the methods. It could be contacts that you've had, collaborations, because there's a lot of that in this profession. There's a lot of doing so between health professionals, clinical ones, therapeutic ones, all. It's there's a word for it that I'm forgetting, and I don't want to give an impression I'm a bad student because of it. I
Macro
hope I'm
practice.
not.
Macro
But-
practice.
Macro practice. It's a different word, but let's go with that.
I'll go with that.
Let's go with that.
It'll
It's-
come
it's
to
so-
you.
it's
That's
to
what happens with
describe-
older people. It comes to you later.
Of course. All righty. But it's the process of basically working with different interdisciplinary. There we go.
There you go.
That's the one. Interdisciplinary practices between different people. What was all of those things like during your time?
Boy, you sure give me some hard questions to start off. One thing about social work that I think we all can agree upon, and that is there are so many multi-opportunities to use your social work skills and knowledge. The process is really an interdisciplinary process. If you really stop and think about it, it's just an interdisciplinary process. I wanted to work with young people that were in the teenage, adolescent years. When I got to New York, I'm working for the New York City Youth Board. That was a new concept actually being offered in the United States. And the question for me was, what do I do? They didn't even have a supervisor for me. I had to create it myself. And I was working with kids from the ages of maybe 4 all the way up through teenage. They knew nothing about America. They didn't even know anything except how to have what they used to call a hustle. That means they could fight on the streets. I'm working with kids that I had never actually thought about myself personally, but had to pull up from my own roots of what I understand human beings want and need to be in a free country. And that's what I worked with. The things that I learned here from Morgan and learned from Howard, I had to put them all together and create my own way to carry forth the mission, which was to work toward a healthier life. And that was the essence of it. You could be yourself. Work with 4-year-olds or 6-year-olds who were talking about the Statue of Liberty and didn't know what it was. We had to go. I worked with people who were children and families that were from Mexico because there was an influx. You know what New York City is like. I'm coming from Baltimore. I know all about our people, but I don't know about all these people coming from Mexico. But I had to learn. So that's how you begin to develop a career. What is it that you really want to do? I want to be able to feel the same pride that the young man on Morgan's campus a couple of months ago was so proud to take me around to look at the campus. But he was so proud to be able to work here and to be able to share and to meet all of the various people in our race that are doing exciting things. So that's what happened to me. I was developing, drawing on what I had learned about other people, but creating, using my creativity and my belief, my value system, that this is important for America.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is it me again?
Mary, you know, that's what, a beautiful answer. That's what Douglas High School got both of us ready for. We had brilliant teachers. They couldn't get jobs elsewhere. but they were the all black teachers, but the top minds. Mary Miller, Kelly Miller's daughter. He was a dean at Howard. She taught us speech at Douglas. And yes, oh,
Use your-
she
use
wrote
your mic.
poetry and whatnot, famous, May Miller. But she began every class, this was at Douglas, so.
Yes.
With tongue twisters. She said, too many of us were lip lazy, and we must speak more clearly. And so we started each class with, she sells seashells down by the seashore. And I was so excited to do that. And I guess just doing it so vigorously, Granville Marshall,
Yes,
Thurgood
indeed.
Marshall's nephew, who was one of our classmates, the only one with a car, so he drove us to all the parties. But whenever he met me in the hall, he'd stop and say, she sells seashells. I said, Granville Marshall, you leave me alone. He's making fun of me because I just enjoyed May Miller. She's a poet. And May Miller Sullivan, she became. Kelly Miller's daughter taught us at Douglas. But your question, back to your question. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
mean
go
to
ahead. No,
interrupt.
you go right on.
You know, Lafayette, you heard what they did at Lafayette Square Center. And so they had, talked about all of the interdisciplinary and whatnot. You had the health people, the nurses for the Well Baby Clinic.
Right.
You had the librarians. They had a branch of Enoch Pratt Library. So they had to have these different professions.
Okay.
People doing different things. They're coming, and sometimes they came 1 or 2 days a week, some of them, and so on. But it was all of these different professions, health and all of that, coming together there and whatnot. And then if he'd have a final luncheon, annual luncheon, and then everybody would come together.
It's interesting, but thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay.
Both
And
of
so
you.
one final question, and then we would have questions for a few minutes from the audience. What words of wisdom would you give to young people who might be interested in social work? What would you tell them today?
I would say, in your heart, you must find out what you really feel, why you think who am I, and why am I here? Who am I? And why am I here? And there's a reason. Because I'm a Christian, so you don't have to be, you might be something else. I feel God put each one of us here for a reason. And if we're fortunate, we'll find that reason. We'll find what it is that he wants us to do and be. And if you do what I did for 41 years here at Morgan, you won't work one day in your life. I loved every minute.
Absolutely.
They were kind. They said I would light up a classroom when I came in, but that was nice. They've gone. So whenever Morgan students leave, that's you. You go to the top of wherever you go. I had some of the boys wanted to be lawyers. They were going to law school, a couple of them from Morgan, but they were failing the writing. So the chair of the political science department, Gray, his name was Vernon Gray, said, now, all right, boys, if you go into law school from Morgan, you got to take Sheffy's writing course first. We're not going to have you in law school failing writing. So they put them all in my writing class. Not another Morgan student failed any writing at law school. You know who those students were? Robert Bell was one of them. Now, Robert Bell, you know, was the chief, wasn't he chief judge for the whole state of Maryland? Yes. We had a Pulitzer Prize winner, James Allen McPherson. Terry Edmonds, who visits me now during the holidays. Terry Edmonds was appointed by Bill Clinton, to be his chief speechwriter. And he had a team of speechwriters. Terry Edmonds, a Morgan graduate of that writing class, was the chief speechwriter. He invited me to the White House to have lunch there and introduced me to his staff, a predominantly white staff. He's a black man. And he said, now this lady is the reason I'm here. I said, no. When he came to me, he came with a brilliant mind, and he came writing well. I can't take credit for it. But when you leave, when the students leave Morgan, they go to the top of whatever field they're in.
Okay. Dr. Page, words of wisdom.
My
You
only
have
word-
much wisdom.
Right. Only word of wisdom is that you said it actually. You've got to ask yourself the question, why am I here? Why really am I here? What is it that I can do? To live right now in 2000, where are we?
24.
To live right now, you can touch a button, you can get any piece of information you want. So it's not a matter of just, where can I go? You got to know where you're going, why. And who am I? The question has always been at the top of the list. Who am I and what is it that I can do that has meaning, not just for me, but has meaning for the community. And we who have maintained these relationships with one another in other cities, across the country, across the world, you can go any place now and do what you're doing right now if you really wish. So we are not held back as we were 100 years ago. We're not held back in the same way. And we have to know our history as a people in order to know where is it we can go, that we can do, that will make a difference. I enjoy my work so much, I just get a bang out of it. I enjoy talking with people. I enjoy working with people. And it's a good feeling to know that people are out there working. When we were in school, one of our classmates, one of his relatives was there in Washington working on public education, 1954.
All right, who was that?
That's right. I can't think of his name right this minute, but his uncle created give me the name of it.
Thurgood Marshall.
Yes,
Brown.
that's right.
Oh,
Yes.
because Thurgood Marshall is Baltimorean.
He's a Baltimorean and member of his family working on the same issues we were. And so that's the important thing to me, is to know who you are and whose you are, and to have faith.
Now, I think that deserves a round of applause. I could personally, I don't know about everybody else, I could go on for a little while longer, but we got some other things, and we just want to thank you with all of our hearts for a beautiful, beautiful opportunity. Yes. Now, we have a few minutes for questions from the audience. I know that you got something that you're itching to ask these pioneers about. Question? Yes. Mr. Green, our friend, Mr. Paul Green, Morgan's photographer. Yes. Hey, come on, you need a mic? No. Okay. Of course, your wife is a social worker, and that makes you one too.
I would like to know, what is the future of social work? With everything being quantified and a dollar amount being put on people even, and the constituents usually of social workers are usually, as far as economically, powerless. What is the future of social work? How do you maintain value in a society that places dollar amounts on everything?
Well, everything is AI now.
Oh, okay.
Everything is AI, artificial intelligence. But you know what? The final thing that matters is what you all are doing here is soul to soul, people to people. That's what life is all about. You say, who am I? And I asked, why did God put me here? What am I supposed to do? And it's always to serve others. If you know the Bible well, you know that you're here on earth to serve others. Now, no matter what AI does, artificial intelligence and whatnot, you have to deal with, well, I'm dealing with you face to face. We're talking to heart to heart, soul to soul. Human feelings are there. I don't know how good artificial intelligence is, but I don't know whether it can pick up what we feel if a person tells us what's bothering them, what's heavy on their heart. And then if it can dictate my response to that sharing of difficulties that you're sharing with me. I don't think AI can substitute for all that. We still need those human interactions. And you folks are in the business where that's most important. So, yes. Yeah.
Another question?
Yeah, I got
Yes.
one.
Young man, oh, you might-
Yeah, I got one right from the virtual.
oh, you got a virtual question?
Yeah. Do Black social workers have a unique role or responsibility? If so, what is that role or responsibility?
For Black social workers.
Yes.
Dr. Page?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? At my age, I'm a little hard of hearing. I didn't catch your question.
All right.
Question again,
Yeah.
please.
So, do Black social workers have a unique role or responsibility? If so, what is that unique role or responsibility?
Do Black social workers have a unique role?
We
Unique.
have a unique role. Oh, I do think we do have a neat role, to tell you the truth. We have a history. We have a history of really being, when you go back and read some of the things of what people went through, how we were treated. I don't know how many of you here have ever been to the port where we were brought here.
Senegal.
Yes, I have. And to stand, well, you can do the same thing over at Washington, D.C. You don't have to, go way out of the country. But you can begin to feel the same thing that I'm sure our people way back generations ago felt to even get here. Or if you are Indian, for example, and some of us have a lot of Indian blood in us, how we were treated in Middle America, how we've been cheated out of things. Or if you just have been right now, like my grandson, just going to school right now. We have teachers who have no idea of what we experienced. No idea. You have a chance. We have the tools. We have the feelings. We have what's necessary to communicate. We don't care what they think about what's coming down the pike. We've got things within us, God-given, to use, to relate to one another, to get in the spirit. Like the young man, he was so proud just to take me around because he felt good about Morgan. This was his territory, and he was sharing me around, wasn't he? And I could talk about, yeah, it feels good to be here on this land again. I mean, so you take these things and make sense of it. My grandson is into music. What did he pull from me and his parents? He pulled that you got to do music, not for everybody, but you've got to help these people who have music in their souls to express it and to make something of it. To me, that's what's living all about. It doesn't matter to me what profession you have. You're a human being. And we all have started with the elements of what we need to relate to one another and to make use of what has been God-given.
Yeah. Guess we have to stop.
The young man and then Dr. Charlene. Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you all. My name is Byron Mason. I'm a first year Morgan student, future graduate of Morgan. My question to you is, how do you prevent burnout? And like, how do you keep your passion going for over 4 decades? What are some of the things you did? You said you have a strong background in Christ, but what are some other things you use to keep the energy going, to keep the passion going?
What is my motivation?
Yes.
What energy keeps you going as a social worker?
I know this may sound corny. But I do 2 things. Number one, when I wake up in the morning and I'm drinking my coffee, I have a medication that I have to take according to my doctor, which starts with hot water. But my dad taught me that long time ago, and his father taught him that many, many years ago. Start with some warm water, a little lemon juice is a good way to start the day off. And while I'm doing that, I'm a Bible reader. Some people just like to read poems or something that is significant about spirit. But the thing that I wake up every morning, and I know I'm not supposed to do this in public, but I raise my eyes to the hills, and I say, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. And so that's really want to know, I start every day that way.
We have that in common. I start my day with a prayer, too. You have to start with that prayer, right? To take you through the day.
Yes, I go all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it every
Oh, you might.
Mike, say it on your mic.
I said it this morning. I know I won't say it today with you, but it's really what I feel.
Well, is it short? Maybe you could say it. They might enjoy it.
Okay, well, I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let or fail me. He who watches over me never sleeps. Indeed, he who watches over Israel does not dare to sleep. The Lord is with me. He is my shade at my right hand, and the sun shall not harm me by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord watches over me. He watches over my comings and my goings. I can't remember. You have it right there. What's the next line?
No, ma'am, I'm videotaping.
Oh, no, she's videotaping.
Thank you so much, honey, because I use my own words. I didn't need anyone to write for me to, remember. I can use my own words, and they come to me that way. And I know that each day, everything's going to be all right. And then I do some exercises, take care of myself. Maybe call a person once in a while and talk about social work, what we need to do. Why did certain person say this on the television? But we could have done better. We knew what to do. So that's my lifestyle, sharing with others.
Last question, Dr. Charlene.
Good afternoon. It's such an honor to be here. I am an alum. I was graduated in 1995 from the BSW department, and now I teach in the School of Social Work. Today is a monumental day, and I don't know about all of you all, but I definitely feel the spirit present here. Not only the spirit, but also the divinity that comes with our history and our past. And you mentioned, the both of you mentioned so eloquently what occurred, the historical pieces that occurred, as well as the interconnectedness and what you would like to see social work look like for the future. I would like to know, because of your experiential knowledge that you have shared with us today, which we don't take for granted, and which is not a norm in our society, what is your hope for us? And what is your charge for us? Thank you very much.
Okay, so she got two. You got one in your lap.
Oh, okay. I can't use the social worker, so I'll let you go ahead and speak, and I can just I'll do a footnote.
Okay. Well, I'm very hopeful. I guess that's one of the things that keeps me going, is I'm not at all pessimistic. We've been through, as I've said earlier, we've been through many hard times. We didn't know how we were going to make it. But we are still a people with such a rich history that demonstrates that if you have faith, you work with other people, you try to sort out, and we also try to find people. It's interesting how we make friends, of how we look for certain kinds of things, or we are startled by certain things that a person says that lets you know this person also is thinking, is also on the same wavelength, maybe not the same thoughts, but having something that they are searching for as well. So I would say I'm very hopeful. I look out here at you, and you're doing some wonderful things. Just from the kind of questions you ask, you can tell they're
Your mic up.
Yeah.
Your mic.
Oh, you can just tell that people are they're on the business of the world. They're on the business to make their actions have meaning to more than just herself or himself. Maybe you can.
No, Mary, no, I'm so glad I'm so glad you said that. And you're the social worker, so I'm just delighted sitting here listening to that. But yes, I'm optimistic about the future. Who would believe? I didn't believe when I was at Morgan I'd see one of us sitting in the White House as the vice president. We'll see one as president, maybe in the next 10 years or so, or maybe more. So there's no limit to where we can go or what we can do. There's no limit. And at Morgan, you get the feeling, you get all of the vibrations that tell you that you can go to the top, that there are no limits on where you can go. Sometimes, I hate to say, in the other schools, they give you the sort of under message that you might not be able to do quite as well, you know. You might not be able to do it. You get that subterranean message sometimes. You don't get that here at Morgan. At Morgan, you know and you feel that whatever anybody in the world can do, when you leave Morgan, you're ready to do it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sheffy and Dr. Page. Thank you so much. Please give another round of applause for our esteemed guests. Thank you so much.
I didn't mention that lady in the White House with their kids.
So, ooh, we have flowers. We have come to the end of our program, but before we conclude, we have a couple of things that we want to do first. Okay, so we have flowers for our flowers. I think that. Oh, I get a flower. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank
This
you
is
so
just a
very
small
much.
token of our
Oh,
appreciation.
lovely. I know right where I'm going to put them. I'm going to put them right in my window. I have something
And
to
they
say.
match too.
They're
That's the
so
best
lovely.
part.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And while they enjoy their flowers, our flowers enjoy their flowers, we want to ask our soloists to join us once again to close us out. So Miss Brenda Tucker, she will rejoin us. Thank you. Come on.
It's been a pleasure listening to these wise ladies and gentlemen, and I am honored to be here. I want to talk a little bit about myself. I did leave my cell phone in my purse, and I passed it over before I started singing because I didn't want it to ring, and I didn't get it. I'm sorry for that. I had to leave out of here. I had to leave out of here just a few moments ago to get a tissue. You had me in tears because when I look, and I know I'm not supposed to be a speaker, but when I look out, and when we look out at our youngsters today, when we hear the news every evening, every morning of what's going on in our communities, not just Baltimore, it's all over. I'm from Newport News, Hampton, Virginia, and it's even there. I was thinking, move back home, but I'm told by family members, it's everywhere. And so we have lambs that we have to feed, sheep that we have to feed. They are ours. Let me see if I can start a little bit. Mama, Mama, Master gonna sell us in the morning. Mama, Mama, Master gonna sell us in the morning. And pray. That's not our worry today. We're not being chained. We're not being sold away from our parents. Too many of our parents are not teaching our children. Too many of our parents were children when they had children. And so our job is larger than it's been. And from listening to your wisdom, I'm sure we're going to get through this with our young people, with our African American people. My family dates back in 1619 when the Portuguese ship, brought the Africans out of Angola, Luanda, Angola. 350 were put on the ship. Approximately 143 were thrown overboard from sickness or death. That's our history, regardless of where the ship came from the continent and where it landed. We've had some heavy struggles along the way, and so we have to keep looking back at our elders, all of those who came before us, and remind our children what they went through and all that we have in our hearts and minds for them today. Thank you for letting me share that. Honor, honor unto the dying Lamb. Oh, run along, children, be baptized. Mighty pretty meeting by the waterside. Honor, oh, honor unto the dying Lamb. I prayed all day. I prayed all night. I prayed until the Lord found a way to lift us up. Honor, honor unto the dying Lamb. I'm going to end with that. There's so much more I could do with the song. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's not just the teachers and the counselors and the social workers. I think I already said the parents, right? So if we can't reach the parents, we're going to lose the children. I was a teacher, elementary. It was a different day. A guidance counselor, guidance department head, a different day, but it was coming. We could see it coming. We can't let it get any worse. So I don't know what your wisdom is going to share with us so that we can tackle it before it gets worse. Thank you, and I love you all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brenda Tucker. Thank you so much. Let's give her one last warm round of applause. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our program. I think Dr. McFadden said it best, that we could go on and just pull from the wisdom that we have from our esteemed guests. But this will close us out. Again, happy Social Work Month to all our social workers. Happy Women's History Month. Let us continue to make history every day. So as we end our program, we can go upstairs. On the second floor, there's refreshments for our guests. So please join us, and maybe you can socialize or network and maybe speak with our esteemed guests in another environment. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you. Wait a minute. One more thing. We have a song that I think is fitting to actually officially close us out. So if everyone can stand, please. If you can. All right, DJ, take us away.
Easy now.
I'm gonna be free on God.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
You have made it 100 miles to freedom. Would you like to pick a new name to mark your freedom?
Harriton.
Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine. generation. And I fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. You hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on.
Harriet, welcome to the Underground Railroad.
And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail, but Lord knows I'll try. Shine stars fill the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Do you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
Wow, powerful. Thank you so much. All right, so for those that can go upstairs, let's head upstairs for refreshments. Thanks, everyone.